Let us look at the package and member access. Now we know that the packages can also be used for encapsulation. That means we can hide the classes which are inside the package from the outside world. So we can create a package and put many classes inside it, and we can restrict the visibility of these classes or the members within these classes to the outside world. So we can say whether the outside world can access the members, or we can also say that they cannot access the member. Now we are all familiar that in order to have the visibility, we have three access specification, that is the private, public and protected, which you have already studied. We can also have the default, which is nothing but the package. So if you don't specify a access specifier as private or public or protected, that means it belongs to the default. Now what's the meaning of saying default is, default means the class or its members will be available to all the classes which are part of the particular package. So suppose if you create a class with the default access permission, that means the members within this, if the members are also on default, the members will be available to all the classes which are within the same package. But a class which is outside the package cannot access this particular class. So that is the meaning of it. So now let's look at the different possible ways in which we can have the access permission. When we think of a class can have two possible access level. One is the default, the other one is the public. Now I have already told you that if the member access is default access, then it can be accessed only by other class which are within the same package. However, if you declare a class as public, that means it will be accessible to any other code or any other class which are there in the outside this particular package. Public means it is publicly visible. Now very important thing about the public classes is, if you create a public visibility for a class, then it must be stored in a separate file, and that file name must have the same name as that of the class. So this is very important. So if you create a class with the public access specifier, then you have to save that class in a file with the same name as that of the class. Now let's look at the permission in terms of our NetBeans. Now in my previous discussion, I have created two packages. One is the BSc package and the other one is the BCA package. Now I have student who is residing in the BSc package, and I have a teacher who is there in the BCA. So, and I want this teacher to access the student who is there in a different package altogether. So how do I access them? Now let's look at what happens if you change the access permission of the student class. So now let's look at the student class first. I'm going to remove all the other classes which are not required. So I'm going to close that. I'm going to just keep the student and the teacher. And the situation here is a teacher wants to access the student who is there in the other class. Other package. Now let's look at how do we go about it. Now let's go to the student, and you notice that the student by default is given an access specifier as public. So a student is public here. So that's what you will see here. So public means, I have told you, public, if you give a access specifier as public, what does that mean? Public means this class will be available to anyone, not only the classes which are inside the package, but to the classes which are outside this package. Anybody can access it. That's what is the meaning of saying public class. Now let's go to the teacher. Okay, now I'm going to add a import statement. I have already added, so I have added a import statement for accessing the teacher. You notice that I have the bsc.star. What is the meaning of that? Is import bsc.star means I want to access all the files which are there in the bsc. Now I have I'm going to remove these things which does not make any sense. So I have a variable called as student. Now using this student, I can access the student here. So I can get the student class here. There is no error in this particular code. The reason is the student class is public. It is publicly visible. That is why even though a teacher is outside the BSc package, so even though the teacher is outside this BSc package, the teacher is able to access the student. Now what if I change the access permission of the student? Now remember, if I don't specify an access permission as public, private or protected, if I don't give any permission to it, what is the meaning of it is it is going to get the default permission. And what is the default? Default permission is package permission. So what is package permission? It will be visible only inside that package. I'm going to save this one, and you will immediately notice that NetBeans is going to say that there is an error in this particular file. What is the error? If I go to the teacher, remember I have the same old story. I have a student here and I have a teacher here. I want the teacher to access the student. I have not made any changes except that I changed the accessibility of this particular package, and that is, what is this package? This class. I changed the access permission of this class from the public to default. So if you don't specify anything, it means default. You don't need to specify a type default there. The access permission is assumed to be default. Now when I make the student as default permission, what is the meaning of it is that the student, this student class will be available only in this package. Inside BSc, anybody can access the student, but outside BSc, others cannot access it. So if I go to my teacher here, remember teacher is there outside the BSc package. So if I go to the teacher here, I get an error message. And what is this error message says? Student is not public in BSc and cannot be accessed outside the package. So it is an obvious answer. And what does the Java says that student being a protected class, so student being a default class, it cannot be accessed by the others. Now let me go to a class. Look at here, marks is there. Marks is there in the BSc. Student is also there in the BSc. So they are there in the same package. Both of them are there in the same package. Now can I access student inside marks? So that is the question. I'll go to the marks here, and I'm going to just create one method here. So simple method, public void some method. I'm going to just create some method. So I don't need to do anything. My only question is, can I get a student? std. Can I get this thing? Now you notice that there is no error in this. Even if I save, even if I compile it, there is no error in this. The reason is student is visible or student is accessible inside a BSc package. Okay, so let's look at the idea of protected. What is the meaning of saying protected? Protected means if a class, I'm sorry, no, not the protected, sorry, again, the default. So what is the meaning of saying default? Default means the class is visible or available to any other class inside the same package. Within the same package, the class is available, but if it is default, that class will not be available to the outside package, either BCA, BA demo, anything outside BSA, it will not be visible or it will not be accessible. So let me make it as public. Let's go to the student and let me make it as public. What happens if I make it as public? If I make it as public, and if you look at here, okay, let me save this particular thing. Now if I make the student as public, okay, if I make this student as public, you notice that there is no error. The error is gone, because if the class is public, if the student class is public, it is visible not only for all the classes which are there within the package, but also to all the packages which are outside this particular package. It's always visible. Now let me go to the student and let me make this student as private. So what's the meaning of saying student class itself is private? Now when I do that thing, I'm going to get to directly access it. Private is not allowed here. First thing. Now I cannot make a class as private here, but I can make a inner class as private. Okay, so private directly to a class is not allowed. I'll talk about inner class, don't get confused about it. Then you can think of doing it. Now can I make it as protected? So you may ask that question, can I make it as protected? The answer obviously is protected is not allowed. So either a class can be without any protection level, that means it is default. You don't write as default, you don't say it as default. Remember, you don't say that as okay, you don't specify that default. If you don't specify it, it means it is default. And what is the default permission? Default permission is package permission. It will be available within the same package. Other one that you can think of using is the public. So what's the meaning of saying public? It is publicly visible. So there are two possibilities that you can go for a class. And what are those two possibilities? Either it is public or it is a default. So if it is default, it will be available only to the classes which are there in the same package. If it is public, it is available not only to the classes which are there within the same package, but to all the classes which are outside this package also. It can be there in some other package. That is also allowed. Outside means anybody can access it. So that's a visibility. Now I have made the class as public. Okay, that means it is available to the other classes. Now let me go to one of its methods. So there are a lot of methods are there. Let me go to one of its method. I will not take the constructor, even though constructor is a special method. I will not bother about constructor. Let me go and get this method, get roll number. I will concentrate only on that. There may be other methods are there. For in order to avoid confusion, I will remove these methods. Okay, just for the sake of simplicity, let's assume that there is a method called as get roll number, which is a public. That's what is important to me. It is a public method. Now remember, this class is public and this method is also public. Public means it is available everywhere. So can I able to get this method inside my, first I will go to the marks here. Remember, marks is there within the same package. Look at here, marks is there within the same package. So I want to access the get roll number from a class which is there within the same package. Inside the package, will I be able to access a public method? So that is the question now. So there is a public method in the student called get roll number. Will I be able to access that in the marks? So remember, marks is there in the same package, but in some other class. So let me go here and can I access the std dot get roll number? You notice that I will be able to access get roll number. So it is available. I will get a error message here saying that this particular variable is not initialized. Just to make the Java happy, I'm going to just say call a constructor of this, and let's say the name is money and the roll number is 1 2 3 4. Okay, something. So that Java is also happy that I have initialized it. I have called the constructor of it. But what is important is I get this get roll number. There is no problem at all. So that means to say that if you make a method public, if you make a method public, if you make the accessibility public, so that method will be available to a class which is there in the same package. Now I want to go outside this package. Now I want to go outside this package, and from the class which is there in some other package, I want to access a public method. Remember, class is publicly visible. So student is publicly visible, but its method is also publicly visible. Will I be able to access it? So I'm going to go to teacher now, and to make the Java happier, I'm going to just say new student. So just make that Java happy, so that it will not say that you have not called the constructor. So just call the constructor. Now if I say s1 dot, you notice that get roll number is available to me, so there is no error. So that means if the class is public and if its method is also public, that means it is available to any other class within the same package as well as any other class which is outside the package. So public means publicly visible to everyone. Now let's go to the other option there. What if I make this particular class as this particular method as a default? Remember, we don't write the word default there. If you don't specify anything, that means it is default. So what if I make this as a default? I'm going to save this one. Okay, now let's look at remember, this method is now default method. That means package access is there. Now is this method available? Is this method available? Remember, there is one method here. Is this method available to a class which is there in the same package? Within the same package there is a class. Can that class call that method? So let's look at that. Let's go to the marks and then try to call it. Now if you notice the marks here, there is no error here. So that means to say that from a class which is inside the same package, the protected method can be called. Now the next question comes, from a class that is outside this. So from a class that is outside this package, can I be able to access the protected method? So sorry, again I don't know why that word protected is coming out of my mouth, but can I be able to access the default method? So let's look at that one. I'm going to go to this teachers here, and if you notice over here, the error message says that so get roll number is not public in student and cannot be accessed outside the package. So the word itself says, the message itself is very obvious. So what does the Java says is, this is a default method, and default means for a package. So anything within the package you can access it. So what does that mean? So suppose if you have a class here, and if there is a method which is default, that means that method will be available to any class within the same package, but for any other class which is outside the package, they will not be able to access a default method. So default method cannot be accessed. What if I make this method as private? If I make this method as private, what is going to happen? What is the meaning of saying private? Private means it is your private property. You do not want to share it with the others. You don't want to give it to the others. So will I get a error message? So first thing is, there is a private method. So there is a private method. So let's go here. There is a private method inside student, and I want to access that private method from a class which is there in the same package. Within the same package there is a class. Can it access a private method? So let's go to the marks and find out. Now if I go to the marks and if I look at this get roll number, you notice that get roll number is private and it cannot be accessed, okay, as a private access, and I cannot access. The red line, squiggly line indicates that this is not possible. So what is the meaning of it? If a method is private, then that method is only available to this class. Even the classes which are there in the same package, they cannot access or they cannot call that method, because that method is private. So private method cannot be called by anyone else. It is private to the class in which it is declared. Now let's look at the other scenario. What is our other scenario? So we have a private method in one class which is there in one package, and we have some other class which is there elsewhere. Can it be able to access a private method? So I want to access a private method from outside this package. So is it possible to access that? Let's go to the teacher class and just find out. Now if I go to the teachers class, I will get the same error that says that get roll number is a private and it cannot be accessed. So what is the meaning of it? So I cannot access a private method from the outside package. So private method cannot be accessed by a class within the same package as well as from the class within the other package. So private means it is perfectly private, it is not available to everyone. So it is just its private property, you don't want to share it with the other. And the next one that will come into your mind is the protected. Now let's look at that protected story over here. What if I make this roll number protected? So okay, what will happen if I make this roll number as protected? Now our question comes, so this method is protected. Now there are two things that has to happen. What are the two things? A protected method, first thing is, will it be able to, let me zoom in for it. So there is a class. So there is a class with the protected members. So can I access that class? There is a method, protected method. Can I be able to access that protected method from a class which is there in the same package? So within the same package there is other class. Will I be able to access it? So let's go here to the marks and let me try again. Get roll number. Okay. So you notice that I'm able to call the get roll number. Now I don't know why that get roll number was visible to this particular class. Did I make it as protected? Now it gave the permission for protected. Anyway, okay, so this is what it says, you can access it. Now let's look at a class which is outside this particular package. Will it be able to access that one? So will it be able to access that particular class? Now if you notice here, teacher, and if you go to this teacher, you will notice that you get a message saying that get roll number has a protected access to the student and it cannot be accessed over here. So that means protected class cannot be accessed. Remember, the notion of protection comes when you have the hierarchy. Now I am going to create a separate class over here inside my BCA. Remember, BCA is outside the student, that means it is there in a separate package. I am going to create a new class here called as college student. So college student. Okay. Now this college student, I am going to extend it. What is the meaning of it? Extend that you know very well. Extends. Let me import this package here. So what is that package? Import bsc dot student. I'm going to import it. If you want, you can import star also. So I'm going to extend it with the student. So what is the meaning of it? Is this particular class college student is an extension of student. That means it is inheriting all the properties of the student. Now when it inherits all the properties of the student, if you notice over the student here, the student class, there is no default constructor. So there is a parameterized constructor, and you know very well, if there is a parameterized constructor, that constructor has to be created. So I'm going to ask the NetBeans to create the constructor for me. Okay, this you have already seen it in the inheritance, so this is not something that I want to discuss here. Now let me create a public void sum method here, and it does nothing, but my question is, will I be able to access the student get roll number? So that is my question. So this is slightly a different story here. What is different here? Remember, when I had a teacher here, teacher had nothing to do with the student. Teacher simply wanted to access the student. But what is the difference between a college student and a student? College student is an extension of student. Remember, that means there is a relationship. So you hope you have studied this is a relationship. What is the meaning of saying thing? College student is a student. That, so why did I say college student is a student? Okay, in English it is obvious, but I am not talking about English story. I am talking about something that I have done here. So what is that I have done here? If you look at the college student is an extension of student. That means college student is a student plus something extra is there. It is extending the capability of a student. So student is there. You have the student. Let me go down. So you have a student, and college student is extending that student. It is adding something extra to the student. That means whatever property student has, it's already there. So that means somehow college student is connected to student. This class itself is connected to the student. What about the teacher? If you look at the teacher here, teacher is just a class, that's all. It's just a class that has nothing to do with the student. I am not saying that teacher is extending the capability of a student. Teacher is a teacher by himself or by herself. So now this protected member, which was this protected member, get marks, which is a get roll number, which is a protected member, it's not available to the student, to the teacher. Now I have this college student here. Will this method, that is the protected method, will it be available to the extended class? Remember, this is a class, ordinary class. Teacher is an ordinary class which is available in the other package. But college student is a class that is an extension of student. However, it is available in the other package. So college student, let me make it proper. So college student, if you look at here, is an extended version of the student, but it is available in some other package, not inside this package. Remember, if it is inside this package, it is obviously available. So I have already shown you that it is already available to marks. So that means it's available. There is no point in doing this. Now here there is a small twist is there in the story. What is the twist? You are extending the student, but that extended version is not available in the same package, but it's available in some other package. Now the question is, if it is protected here, is it available here? Remember, it is there in a separate package. So is the protected method available to the extended class, or we say subclass, okay, which is available in the other package? So that question. So is it available? Let's go to the college student here. So where is my college student? Can I get the get roll number? You notice here get roll number is available. So that means to say that the protected members are available to an extended classes that may be there outside the package. Okay, so what is the meaning? What did I say? The protected members, so protected members are available to the classes which are extended, but which are available in the other classes. So even if the extended classes are there in other packages, the protected members are available. So this is what is the things that you need to understand. So let's look at let's go to the PowerPoint and let's look at that one. Okay, so if a member has no explicit access specifier, that means it is default, and default is package. It's only available to the all the classes which are there in the package. So if the member is public, that means it is visible through all the packages, not to all the classes, not only in this class but also in the other packages. If the member is private, that means it is visible only in that class, but it's not available to anyone else. If it is protected, that means it is accessible within the package and to all the subclasses that are outside the package. So that is what is the meaning. So if the protected specifier is mentioned, so it makes the member accessible within its package and all the subclasses outside the package. So this is what you get. This is the idea, this is the thing that you must always remember that. So if it is public, it's available in the same class, it's available in the same package, it's available in the different packages, as well as it is available in the subclasses, remember the extended classes. If it is protected, it's available in the same class, into the all the classes in the same package, but to the subclasses, that is the extended version of all the classes, but not to the other classes which are outside the package. So for example, you take the teacher had nothing to do, teacher was not an extension of a student, that is why teacher was not able to get the roll number, but college student who was an extended version of the student was able to access the protected member. Now what about the private? Private is within the same class and it will not be available to anyone else. What is the default? Remember, we don't write the word default, very important thing. We don't type the word default. If we don't specify anything, that means it is the default. So what I mean to say is, you don't write the word default here. You don't make anything, you don't specify anything here. That means it is default. Don't type the word default here, because you're going to end up in trouble if you start doing it. So you can only type private, public and other things. If you don't specify anything, that means it is default. Okay, so if it is default, what is the meaning of it? It's available to the same class, as well as it is available to all the classes within the package, but not the outside the package. Now I have already told you, if you want to access the classes out from the other packages, you can specify the import statement. I've already demonstrated to you. Specify the import statement followed by the package name and the class name. I have already done that thing long ago. So this was not shown in the PowerPoint. So for example, I have imported BSc student. So BSc student, or I can also say BSc.star. That means all the classes within the BSc package, everything. If you want to access, you can do that thing. So this was not shown in the PowerPoint, that's why I'm showing it. And an example, for example, import my package dot my class. A single class will be imported here. If you want to access all the classes, put the star after the package name. So there is another important thing I've already told you. Whenever you write a Java, whenever you create a Java file, the first executable statement you have already shown you. If you want a package, then it must be package. After package, you can write any number of import statement. So any number of import statement you can come, and finally you write the class definition. Okay. Now, in Java, in order to help you to write the Java classes, you have already studied about the object-oriented paradigm, OOPS paradigm. Now, what is the OOPS paradigm? One of the important thing about object-oriented programming concept is the reusability. You can always reuse the classes. You can extend the class and so on and so forth. So that's one of the important reason why people are preferring the object-oriented paradigm. Now, Java, what they have done is when they created the language, they created a lot of helper classes. So, instead of we writing everything from the scratch, what they have done is they have given you ready-made classes for different uses. For example, if you want to access the network, you don't have to scratch your head and write everything from the scratch. They have given you a template class, a base class, from which you can extend it and add extra methods. So if I want to read from a file, I don't have to write all the code for that. There is already a ready-made class which is available. If I want something extra, I can extend it. So always I can do that. So Java provides all these standard classes, so-called as standard classes, which are required for day-to-day activity, like reading from a file, showing an output, accessing a network, maybe creating a graphical user interface like your buttons, text box, and so on and so forth. So these are called as class libraries. Okay, often they are also called as application programming interface or Java APIs, which are stored in different packages. The main package is the Java package. So inside Java, there will be a lot of packages which are available, sub packages which are available, which you can think of using it. Now, if you look at the Java, the package Java, so that's the core piece of that. There will be other packages like java.lang utility will be there. Inside that, there are many classes like date, calendar, scanner, array list, and so on. There will be one other package called as java.lang, which is the most required package, and this particular package is automatically imported. You don't need to write the import statement for java.language because it is the core package that is required by almost all programs. Any program that you write in Java, it must have java.lang. So Java automatically imports java.language package. You don't need to write an import statement for java.lang because it is obviously included in the Java package. Some of the classes which are available here is system. Now you know very well, system is actually a package, system.in. So you've written for the string system.in, system.out for the string, runnable object, and so on and so forth. So these are available under java.lang. There is java.applet package. We are going to create the applet later. This is also available under Java package. Remember, this is a very big package. So Java is a very big package. Inside this, you have one other package called as java.utility. Java.language is one other package. Java.app. Remember, there are many classes are there. I can't show you all the classes. There are thousands of classes will be there. Similarly, Java.io. IO stands for input output. So reading and writing input output, like reading from a file, reading from the writing to a file, and so on. Java.net. Suppose if you want to write a socket, that is a network related package application, then you can use java.socket. Now let's look at different class libraries. So which are the different class libraries which are available? Java.lang contain large number of general purpose classes which are absolutely required for almost all Java classes. That is why we say that this java.lang is automatically imported. You don't have to write the import statement for the importing java.lang, which is always available with the Java. Then we have the java.io, which contains input output operation related classes. Java.net, that will support for networking. Java.applet for creating GUI based application. Java.awt, abstract windowing toolkit. So we will see the windowing toolkit in the next unit as such, but they are also available inside this particular package. There will be others Like we have java.swing, the other like org.com.corba and so on and so forth. So there many Java classes will be Java packages will be available. Now in order to just to show you the libraries which are there in NetBeans, so whenever you create a NetBeans package, so whenever you create a NetBeans application, you will see that there is something called as this is a place where you write the source code. Let me remove that statement over here, which is creating an error there, so that you don't see unnecessary error there. Okay, so your source code will be available here. You have libraries here, so JDK 1.8, and these are jar files. So we will talk about jar. Jar is nothing but archival. Now if you go to the Java here, so that you have this the jar files. So let's look at where is the Java. Okay, so if you look at the Java, I'm not able to get that Java package. So let me open that thing. Okay, if you look at I'm not able to see that. Okay, so next, not this one, the core Java, I think. Okay, so here let me try to figure out where I get Java. So I have this java.language. Now remember, this classes which are inside this package are actually a binary classes. That means they are compiled into machine code as such. So you may not be able to see the sub package inside it. So if you try to open it, it will say that it's a binary data. Do you want to open it? I am going to say no. So you will see many packages here. You have Java X here. Some packages will be available and so on and so forth. If you notice, there are so many packages are available. One thing you will notice here is that you see something like com.sun.corba. Something like that. So why it is coming in com? Remember, I told you that why do you create a package? In order to have avoid the naming conflict. So there may be, just recall what I said in the last class, there may be Asha in one class, there may be Asha in the other class. So how do you distinguish them? Put Asha in different classes. So put Asha in section A and other in section B. So whenever I want to call Asha, I will say that Asha from section A, please come, or I can say Asha from section B, please come. Now the problem is, what if tomorrow somebody else will come and say that no, I'm going to create one package and I'm going to give a name as A. Now the problem is, even though Asha is here, I avoided the problem of Asha, and I'm able to pinpoint to Asha and say that Asha from section A and Asha from section B. Now if I say Asha from section A, and if somebody goes here and they will say that there is no Asha in this section A. The reason is, now the two packages have the same name. Initially what was the problem? Two classes had the same name. To avoid the two classes having same name, avoid the naming conflict with the classes having the same name, I created the package. Now there can be a conflict in the package name itself. Somebody can say that no, I created accounts package. Now somebody else is also creating. I am not going to give you that account name because I created a package called as account. Now other person can't create it. Same way I can't, if I create a package called as college, somebody else can also create a package. So for example, if you look at my code over here, I created a BSc here. Somebody else may also say that no, I will also create a package called as BSc. Now the same problem will come. So there was a problem with the naming conflict with the class. Now there can be a naming conflict with the package. So how do you avoid that thing? Now we have to give unique names to the packages. How to give the unique name to the package? Now you know very well when you say something like I don't know whether you are familiar with that. So if you write email.google.com, you will be able to access the Google mail, that is your Gmail. Okay. Now if I write it in the reverse order, that means if I write the first thing first, so how it's going to come? It's going to come like com.google.email. So this is how the packages are written. Remember, all the URLs, this is called as a URL, they are unique. No two URL can be same. So in order to get the unique name, what is generally being done is they create this kind of reverse URLs. So for example, if you have accounts department, so accounts, okay, in sales departments, so I will put it the sales department, and say I'm going to say Tata Motors, just to give you an example, tatamotors.com. Now accounts department is also there in the service, okay, tatamotors.com. So how do they create this package? Remember, if they create it, we want to create a unique package first. For the entire Tata Motors, we start with the com dot. So com dot Tata Motors. Remember, I'm writing it in the reverse order. Look at that. Tata Motors. So com, I started with the com, then Tata Motors. Then I have two options here. I can say sales, then accounts. I will just make it as short form. Okay. Also, I can say com dot Tata Motors dot service dot accounts. I will just make it as a short form. So accounts. Okay, so this is how the packages are written, com dot and so on and so forth. So that is the reverse order in which the URLs are written. So that's why you will see here, whenever you look at the packages, you see that is .com sun.java.string. It's a reverse URL that is being written. So that's a general convention that people will follow. So that is all that we have in this class. Thank you for your interest. We will meet again with the other topics. Thank you.